that sleepest, arise from the dead.
Read the Bible, you'll find out that God's not too happy with what's going on around us.
Redeem the time, because the days are evil.
The Bible has not changed.
Boldly proclaim the restoration and preservation of Christian values in America.
Satan has brainwashed a whole nation.
As goes the church, so goes the nation.
Nobody's convicted of anything anymore.
And now, here's Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
It's an example. It's an exhibit. Just wear the stinking mask, okay? Just wear the daggone mask.
No.
What harm can it do? Really, what harm can it do?
I can't breathe.
Hey, join us this morning. I'm hearing, it sounds really funky on my end in terms of the sound. It sounds like I'm talking in a, whoa, that's even worse. In a echo chamber.
Okay. I don't hear it, but I will investigate.
Maybe it's this that's doing it, or you think? I don't know. Hey, 2 hours of Christian talk radio with a sting. We are going to talk about the stinking mask. Just wear the mask, right?
And they do stink.
After you wear them. Yeah.
I don't like the smell right before it.
How long do you wear a T-shirt before? Anyway.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Jeff from Nevada is going to join us in the second hour. And, man, Jeff is something else. Jeff is something else. I can't wait to talk to him. Look, we're going to stretch your mind this morning, folks. And by the way, when you are asked the question or you are commanded to wear a mask, what harm could it do? How do you respond to that? If you're a police chief or a policeman or you're a sheriff, do you wear a mask and a Black Lives Matter T-shirt too, right? Huh? Whether you believe in it or not? Is that what you do? Give me a break. 302-202-1110 if you want to call in. Conference code 745-353. Last Call Radio every Saturday morning, 10 a.m., noon till noon Eastern for our new listeners. This is Do Radio. We want to encourage you to engage the culture. Silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak, and not to act is to act. And wearing a mask speaks. Whether you like it or not, it does speak. Incredible. Got good headlines to go over with today. By the way, I got this, just some FYI for you. Mike Adams, I think Natural News is what his website is. Did you all know that AstraZeneca has been granted protection from future product liability claims related to COVID-19, specifically the vaccine, by most of the countries which it has struck supply agreements with? In other words, if it don't work, we got your money, and if there's damage, you can't do anything about it. Sorry, no liability. By the way, in the United States, there's already a law that excludes tort claims from products that help control a public health crisis in the form of a 2005 Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, no matter who you are. You know who's writing most of those laws, don't you? It's not your congressman. It's not your senators. Pressure groups. Pharmacy groups. Pro-abortion groups. Now, if, or is that when, the vaccine is forced upon you, in other words, regardless of its safety status, long-term trials are being completely skipped. Are you aware of that? It's important. It's critical. It's panic time. It's panic pandemic time. Animal trials have been largely abandoned. And Moderna, the most prominent vaccine manufacturer of the COVID-19 scene, has publicly admitted that 100% of the clinical trial subjects experienced negative side effects in the high-dose group, the one that works or may work, during the second round of injections. Wow. Bill Gates is now publicly stating that multiple doses of the coronavirus vaccine will need to be forced on the people around the world. Why is the Defense Department, why are government troops being summoned to help out here? Not a conspiracy theorist, just asking a question. Why is that? For what purpose?
Very concerning.
How many doses are we going to have? 1, 2, 3, 4?
Until you die.
Folks, we're test lab rats. That's what we are. We are test lab rats. Like it or not, that's what you're going to be. And the majority of you, maybe not the majority, I hope not the majority, but a good bit of you are going to stand in line, 6 foot apart, of course, right? To get this daggone thing. Having no idea, number one, what the virus can do to you if you get it, and you've probably already had it anyway. And number two, what the vaccine will do to you. What about the combination of the vaccine and the virus? Have you thought about that? And if you remain silent, does your congressman, federal, local, mayor, police department, do they know who you are? I can tell you, the servants in my area know who I am. They are contacted by me on a regular basis. And you don't have to accuse them of anything. Just asking common sense questions can create a stir. We're assuming that a lot of thought is put into the decisions that are being made. And yes, from a political standpoint, a lot of thought are being put into decisions that are being made. But from a common sense, I'll say a natural standpoint, I think very little examination is being done by that. By the way, how's your pastor doing? Do you know your city councilman, your sheriff, your police chief? Just saying. Good morning, Mr. Anderson.
Good morning.
Mr. Anderson helps me with our show daily. Well, Saturdays.
Daily.
Saturdays.
Well, it is a daily project.
It is. It is. We talk rather often. I had mentioned a little bit about religion. I don't know whether I want to get into this now or not, but
religion.
Yeah.
Religion.
Yeah.
Are we a religious show?
What's this guy doing with this Jesus shirt on? I'm going to make a point this morning with it. I'm going to make a small point. Matter of fact, it's just a mask, right? Let's get into this. What harm could it possibly do? It's just a mask, a piece of paper. By the way, I would love Simone Gold. I was on a conference call with her this week. She's sharp. She is sharp, and she's good. She's a combination of a doctor and a lawyer. I didn't know whether God made one of those, but I guess he did. She's just incredible, and she has a lot of answers. I would like to see a debate, period. I mentioned this before, between the folks that are claiming this is a pandemic and it's out of control and the mask works, and people that are saying, wait a minute, there's a different side to this. I would love to see that debate, and I would love to see Simone Gold versus Fauci. Oh, wow, would I love to see that debate. But you know what, folks? Well, it can happen. I won't say it won't happen. It can happen, but it's going to take a lot of pressure on your part to make that happen. Simone will take the time, and Fauci has the time. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but I've just about had it. And maybe that's where the enemy wants me to be. Friday morning, Mrs. BJ, as is her wont, clicked on the local newscast. Danger, danger, warning, warning. Which is nothing more than a continual fear of the coronavirus. Fingernails on the chalkboard. Enough's enough already. Really? You know, this week I contacted our local county health department and indicated that I had taken a rather deep dive into the protective mask situation and can come up with no finite solution as to the effectiveness of the mask. We have people on both sides of the equation that are authorities. One saying the mask is absolutely worthless, and the other saying some of the times, not all the times, that a mask is necessary.
There's one thought I had too,
Mm-hmm.
that data you cannot find. When they talk about people who test positive for COVID,
Like our
like our governor. But my question is, where have they been wearing a mask or have they not?
Ooh. Great question.
And why don't they collect that kind of data?
Well, you know, sometimes
So if you got the disease, wearing a mask, social distancing, quarantined at home, doing all the things that they were told to do, did they get the disease anyway?
Ooh-wee. Great question, Mr. Anderson. Great point. Wow. Go ahead. Take the rest of the show. So anyway, I contacted the health department and indicated then that I took a deep dive, and that opinions do vary on both sides of the aisle, but undisputable data is almost impossible to find. I'm going to repeat that. Indisputable data is almost impossible to find. For every point, there's a counterpoint. And nobody wants to have that debate. Well, I know the people that say you don't need a mask and it's worthless will go to the debate. But the people that have control of you and your families and the businesses and the churches don't want to let go of that power. They have a stake in this, and they're not going to let go of that. Anyway, indicated to the health department, my hope was they could find or help me find a more definitive position, especially given our state government was now demanding that children attending public schools, whether their parents agreed or not, would be required to wear a mask during school hours, and of course of the upcoming impended forced vaccinations that is looming on the horizon. I'd like to know what it is we're doing here, and I think you should know because you're the one we're going to. My preference was to develop good practices based on facts and not fear-mongering. Their immediate response was to send me a link to the CDC site. And I've already discussed with you on the show my experience with the CDC, and I indicated to them that the data from them might not be as productive as other sources. The CDC estimates a lot of what they do. I remember reading the CDC's website and was asking for the flu from last year, what it was. And I got a range from 26,000 to 62,000. Think about that. A range. Not a definite, a range of what they thought, the deaths they thought they had from the flu. By the way, I would love to see the number of deaths May, June, July.
You mean total deaths?
Total deaths. I would like to see
causes.
that. All causes. I'd like to see just how much. I'm sure it's increased by, what, would you say, millions? Oh, it'd have to be. With all this hoopla and the way we're shutting everything down and putting people out of business, it'd have to be that. And folks, as far as the World Health Organization goes, their political resume was of great concern to me, especially when it comes to China, where coincidentally this virus seems to have emanated. So I'm talking to my health department. I phoned them first. They emailed me back, and I emailed them back, and I'm giving you a portion of what I emailed them back. And I did get a response from them Friday.
After break.
Yep. And after break, we'll talk about that. Thank you. B.J. Edwards along, Mr. Anderson. This is your last call.
Last call with B.J. Edwards. Real talk about real life.
This seagull got a stimulus check. See his new shoes?
B.J. Edwards along, Mr. Anderson, your last call. We're talking about the mask. Why don't you just wear the stinking thing? What harm can it do? Anyway, right? Again, I spoke with my health department because they're supposed to be the go-to guys. They should know what's going on here. Guys and gals, sorry. Liberties and freedoms are at stake here, folks. And I value the fact that our founders, especially those white rascals, chose to sacrifice their lives, their fortunes, in some case their families, to secure the liberties and freedoms that we have today. So a government couldn't come in under a pretense and take them away from us. And with that in mind, I indicated to the health department that I felt acting on emotions and fear was hardly acceptable, especially at the price of the aforementioned freedom and liberties. I further noted that residents have allowed themselves to become restricted and are seen wearing masks in all sorts of flavors and all sorts of manner. Have you ever seen the folks out there wearing a mask and how they're they look, some of them look so cute. Oh, I'd like that. Many have been seen continually adjusting their ill-fitting and uncomfortable mask, none of which cover their eyes, which can't be good. I saw a lady yesterday that had what I think was a cut-out plastic liter bottle. Those plastic liter bottles, Coke, Sprite, 7-Up, whatever. Had it cut out and was partially covering her face, covering the nose. It was an incredible-looking thing. I just kind of grinned when I saw it. But in terms of stopping the virus, that probably would have, if it's directly coming at her, it comes over, might be a problem. I've talked with doctors and nurses and health experts, and the range of opinion with regard to the expected safety of masks ranges from it's worthless to it probably does work, to the statement that short of wearing mask and short of wearing an astronaut suit, you're going to be in trouble. I sent them a video from a former OSHA PPE expert who basically said the masks don't work. Bottom line, if you go to your local retail outlet, you might think that you're living in an inhabitable planet like Venus or Mars, where physical contact and exposing yourself to the atmosphere or its inhabitants is to be avoided at all costs. Do you see what we're doing to ourselves here, folks? A planet where we must indeed live in an astronaut's suits. That's where we're headed. And why? Again, let's have the debate. Let's have the debate. Not just wear the stinking mask. Let's have the debate. In the entire world where we decide to isolate ourselves from the Earth's atmosphere for a sustained period of time with uber protective suits, what would be the results? What if for a year or 3 years or 5 years we totally isolated ourselves, lived in a plastic tent or an astronaut suit, wouldn't allow ourselves to be exposed to anything? What would happen when we return to normal? How do we safely expose ourselves to the Earth's atmosphere at that point with a severely weakened immune system? And here's the key question. During that time period, let's say 5 years, what happened to your immune system? I think you get my point. My question as health experts, again, this is back to the health department. I'm asking you for an objective prognosis of the situation. I'll tell you that since the supposed pandemic, I have not worn a mask and feel comfortable in doing so. other than the the stares that I get from my fellow citizens. Well, the division that this has caused is just incredible. And we don't have a finite answer to this. And by the way, if masks are such a necessity and effective, why were they not required in the beginning? January, February, March? March? Why not? And if the virus is so contagious, then over a month plus of not wearing a mask and social distancing wasn't there, would not at least 40% of us have the virus already?
At least.
Or already been exposed? By the way, I know of a lady who was diagnosed with the virus in December of 2019. And if the virus can be transmitted through the eyes, why not require protection for them? How does a virus compare to seasonal flus? We really don't know, because we don't know what the seasonal flus do.
How do eyes transmit a virus?
They're wet. They get into the. I don't know how they do that. I'm not a doctor.
I mean,
it's an opening. It's an opening.
Yeah, if they're wearing masks, then they're not putting anything out there. So are your eyes putting something out there?
I know of folks that have tested positive that were never even tested.
Huh?
What's that about?
How are you tested positive if you haven't been tested?
You sign up for the test and decide not to do it. And then they send you a letter back saying you tested positive.
Really?
Yep. Maybe that's motivation to get you in there to get it. All right. You didn't have the time this time. I'll bet you'll take it now. There are folks who tested multiple times, and each positive test counted as a new case.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Just wear the mask. What harm can it do? I don't know about you, but if I'm asked to sacrifice my precious freedoms, then I need a much better reason than someone else's unfounded fears. There's just way, way, way too much conflicting information, which seems to be generated for political reasons, or worse yet, from emotions. Amen? I won't wear a BLM t-shirt because I know better and I believe different. I don't know, we've had this discussion before, I don't know of a white male that practices systemic racism, that has cost somebody their job, that has purposely hurt somebody because of their skin color. I don't know anybody like that. Mr. Anderson doesn't know anything like that. And you probably don't either. Yet, we want you to wear that because we believe that it exists. Just like they want you to wear the mask because they believe it protects you, right? But what if you don't believe it and they can't prove it? Then what? Let me give you an exercise. I think we got a caller. I think we got a caller. Hang in there. Okay, can you find that for me? I think I heard somebody come in. You have a conversation with somebody.
Jeff.
Okay. You have a conversation with somebody, and they're telling you, hey, just wear a mask. What harm can it do? In that discussion with them, you find out that they're an atheist. Okay? And you say, I'll make a deal with you. I'll wear that mask if you put on a shirt that says, Jesus saves. Yeah? What harm can it do? It's only a shirt, right? Right? It's only or how about this? Vote biblically. I can get you a vote biblically sign and you can put that in your front. No, I'll do better than that. You're probably a Joe Biden fan. I'll get you a Donald Trump sign and I'll plant that in your front yard and then I'll put my mask on. Is that a deal? What harm can it do? Come on, what harm can that do? It's just a sign. It's just a t-shirt.
Signs everywhere, signs.
It's just a mask. It's just a mask.
Messing up my face, messing up my time. Here's a little meme for you about, well, you can't see it. I have to switch back. Here's what harm some masks have shown to do.
Remember, your atheist friends. Huh? Jesus, what harm can it do?
There you go. See those pictures?
No. Oh, okay. Ooh, what is that? Oh, my goodness.
The harm that masks have caused. Mostly these are medical personnel because they have to wear the mask so many hours in a day.
Wow.
But yeah, I found this. I don't know about other people working out in 90-degree heat, or whatever cause that they're having. But that's concerning.
These are. Remember that it's just a mask. It's just a T-shirt. It's just a sign that I want to put in your yard. What problem would you have with that? Give it back to them the way they're giving it to you. And you could make a case that electing Joe Biden is bad for your health. Trust me. If we have a health system left once the communists get done with it. Go overseas. I mean, how many Americans are trying to break into other countries? Are standing in line, sacrificing their time, their energies to get into another country. Especially another communist country.
Another communist. Yeah. Where are you free of communism now?
Right. I want to do something different. I'm going to go over our headlines this morning. And I'm going to read just a few headlines to start with. And I want you to guess which one of these headlines is not true in this bizarro world. Headline number 1. Illinois lawmaker, I used to call that Illinois. Illinois lawmaker pushes schools to abolish history curriculum in the state.
Oh, that was Illinois?
Really?
I thought that was a California idea.
Why Bill?
Well, Illinois is like California. Sorry.
Why Bill Clinton is earning his Slick Willie moniker after the Jeffrey Epstein documents were unsealed. The Democrats' jihad against hydrochloroquine. 5 pro-lifers paint black preborn lives matter on D.C. street. Portland man who injured U.S. Marshal with a bomb has been arrested. Which one of those isn't true? It's the, you guessed it, pro-life. Paint black, preborn lives matter. Last Saturday when we were doing our show, a group of students was given permission. They had been given permission. They had checked. They were given permission to paint black preborn lives matter on a D.C. street after other protesters painted to fund the police on 16th Avenue. A pro-life group led by students while black preborn lives matter in front of the Planned Parenthood clinic. They were supposed to paint that on the 1200 block of 4th Street Northeast. This isn't unauthorized guerrilla art, by the way, which you've seen. The groups obtained a permit for the street painting from the Metropolitan Police Department.
Remember that gigantic Black Lives Matter mural that New York City...
Go ahead.
Well, I got it.
Okay.
It's not quite ready yet. Sorry.
This isn't unauthorized guerrilla warfare. This group's obtained a permit for the street painting from the Metropolitan Police Department. Again, Students for Life say they had prior police permission. They started to paint and they were stopped by the police department. They were stopped by the police department. So they took chalk and started to write on the streets. Not permanent, just chalk. And they were arrested. Told they could do it, did it innocently, and then they were arrested. We don't have any justice in this world, folks. We don't have any justice. We have legalities, but no justice. And that's because we've lost our moral bearings. We're in an amoral society, an unjust society. Justice has fallen in the streets.
Ready.
Go for it.
Remember that that gigantic Black Lives Matter mural that New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio decided to paint in front of Trump Tower, trying his hand at trolling the president? Well, it turns out that he didn't get a permit from the city to do it, and now he's in trouble. He's getting sued by a conservative women's group who wants to paint their own mural on the streets, but have been denied. It's actually a violation of the First Amendment for the government to provide material support to one particular political group, Black Lives Matter in this case, while denying that same material support to another, the conservative group. That group being Women for America First, engaging, inspiring, and empowering women to make a difference. Now that sounds like a good group.
Look, the fact is that what I decided to do with the Black Lives Matter murals, and this came out of a meeting at Gracie Mansion weeks ago with community leaders and activists who said this would be such an important thing for this city to declare officially. That is something, again, transcends all normal realities, because we are in a moment of history where this had to
If it works, he'll take credit for it.
Decision I made.
Did you catch that? Black Lives Matter transcends all normal realities, so they don't need a permit because they're above the law. A similar Black Lives Matter mural was painted on the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma without a permit and is now being removed. Some Americans, however, are taking it upon themselves to remove.
Hey, Jeff, we'll get to you in about 20 minutes. Hang in there. Mute yourself, please. We can hear you. So there you go. There you go, folks. This is insane. This is absolutely positively insane. I mean, every day I'm astonished and say it can't get any worse, but it just seems to. And I think what's happening here is God is bringing us to our knees, in essence. He's going to humble us. And that's one of the problems we've had. If my people are called by name, will humble themselves. We can't get past that. We cannot get past that. My brand of Christianity is the brand of Christianity. How many different flavors? How many in the Protestant religion? How many different sects are there? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands? Because we know better. We know better. We get it. Nobody else does. You can say that. I was in a conversation the other day, and I brought up a point, and then somebody attacked that point and said why it couldn't be done. Is that how we're supposed to treat our brethren? Should we not examine what they're saying? You might have tried to. The point was, well, I've tried that before, and it didn't work. And here's why. Well, how many people have tried marriage before and it didn't work? Huh? So do you remain celibate? I don't think so, Tim. I don't think so. Hey, when we come back, a little bit on DeWine and America being a court low, maybe, or maybe I'll talk about the candidate Trump and why I'm really concerned about this upcoming election. B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson, your last call. Remember, just wear the Jesus shirt. What can it hurt? Really, what can it hurt?
Keeping you informed.
Look at that.
This is Last Call with B.J. Edwards.
I love it. Hey, Jeff, hang in there. Mute yourself, please. We'll get to you in about 30 minutes. Okay?
You said 20 a minute ago.
Well, I'm extending it. I want to talk to him more than 5 minutes.
That mask thing, I am hearing more and more reports of people picking up dirty masks here and there on the streets. That's just like...
Yeah, what do you do with all those masks?
Well, it's like leaving dirty diapers laying around.
Yeah, supposedly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Maybe worse.
We have an incredible example of why we have so many problems in America today. I'm seeing so many people, and God bless you, elect a Republican. Just elect a Republican. So at one point we had a Republican president, Republican Congress, and Republican Senate. And yes, we still kill babies at will. What about that? And now we have gay marriage. They never passed a law that said the natural family is the key to civilization. If we destroy that natural family in America today, it's game, set, and match, we're gone. They never passed that law. They didn't even think to pass that law. And they weren't told to think to pass that law. By the way, when that happened, the Natural Family Foundation was not in existence. But brother, if we could get a law passed. But yeah, it's just a problem we have today with our friends and our allies. You just can't. This is just crazy. Anyway, our governor is a prime example of why just electing a quote Republican in name is not necessarily the right thing to do. He's destroyed businesses in Ohio. He's torn up families, still tearing up families. He's increased the rhetoric. He's divided the public and helped cauterize where we are. Shut churches down.
Casinos
Schools
open.
down. Yeah. And Mr. Anderson and I were talking this week, and we were talking about DeWine, Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, and about the test that he had, which was coincidentally just before he was supposed to meet with the president. Huh. I'm not, I didn't. You go there. I'm not. I'm just saying it was coincidentally. All right, just coincidentally, that he got he had COVID. He tested positive for COVID. Then he took another test. This time it was negative. It was after he didn't have to make the commitment to be with the president. This time it was negative. So we have the best 2 out of 3 here, right? So he took another test, and this time it was negative again. So therefore, he doesn't have COVID. But do you think on the report for the state of Ohio that they're going to subtract not just him? What about those other folks? What about those other folks that
tested positive and then negative, right? And then they don't erase that positive, do they?
Yep.
In the total. Well, that positive was probably, the first one was probably fill in the blank, and the second two were multiple guess, or true and false.
Right.
So he did better on the second two. Sorry.
And here's something else that you can add to this, and this is why the debate needs to be had. We're allowing the Fox to give us. I went into the hen house today. You know what? The chickens are doing just fine. Thank you. No, we're not taking any questions today. As a matter of fact, we've got a run night now. We got a luncheon engagement. Yeah? Huh? The Fox, as he heads back into to the hen house to eat lunch. And now for some breaking news. Ohio Auditor Keith Faber shared that in a little more than a week, his office investigation already identified 5 Ohioans who never tested for coronavirus but were labeled as positive. Faber has now asked everyone within earshot to share the message to social media. If you receive a letter or communication identifying yourself as positive for COVID-19 but have never been tested, please contact his office as soon as possible. We need truth in numbers. And it's not just, this is about your freedoms and about your liberties and how they are melting away and how you are volunteering, I believe, by wearing a mask to help do exactly that, destroy your liberties. Well, I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want wear the shirt. Don't want to offend anybody. Wear the shirt. Oh, wait a minute, I don't believe in God. Doesn't make any difference. I don't believe that the mask works. You want me to wear the mask? Wear the daggone shirt. Put the sign in your yard, for crying out loud. Yet, our public officials foster this. They require a mask at their meetings. Again, the debate needs to happen, folks. And I'm trying to stir. I want you to call today, Sunday, I don't care, Monday, all next week, call people and start demanding a debate on this. And don't accept information from the CDC or the WHO.
Who?
Add on to this, Mike DeWine and John Husted are conniving to pass a pink slip gun control proposal that bypasses the Ohio criminal court system, where you normally have to be convicted of a crime before losing your gun rights, and instead empowers liberal probate court judges to strip someone of their Second Amendment freedoms. Worse, the proposal would expand the red flags concept by allowing liberal probate justice to strip you of your freedom based on a mere claim, not a conviction, a claim, get your C's straight, someone might make that you use drugs or drink too much or alcohol.
More snitching.
Yeah, 911, yeah, this is Mrs. Smith, yeah.
Oh, anonymous.
My husband's been drinking too much, and he owns a gun.
And I don't like him doing
Hang on, Mrs. Smith, we'll send somebody right out and take care of the matter. Folks, this is absolute madness.
By the way, can you tell us where he keeps his guns?
And even worse, the divine Houston gun control agenda would normalize the practice of disarming someone for nonviolent misdemeanor offenses. The state of New York is trying to destroy the NRA. Yow.
Interesting. This is not on the topic exactly, but I just read a good comment on our YouTube chat line here. Number 7, I just had this question. What spiritual or religious reason can I give for not wearing a mask? Number 7 offers an answer. Mask wearing, isolation, and washing are all part of an old age occult ritual. They are just bringing back the fallen angels and their offspring. Well, that first part I'm interested in, about the ritual and who the pagans were and a little more. If number 7 would call in and share a little more information, that'd be cool.
Yeah. How about bearing false witness? If you don't believe in a mask, what are you doing wearing one? Huh? How about a lie? If you don't wear a mask and you think it's all a lie and you wear a mask,
you're submitting to a lie.
What are you doing? Is the mask a god? I could make the case. And by the way, we're not supposed to be afraid of death, are we? Christians? Isn't that something we welcome? You could make a litany of reasons why, as a Christian, you shouldn't be wearing a mask. Great point, though. Great point. Before I get into this, that Jeannie Pirro thing.
I meant to ask you that earlier, but
Yeah.
Number 7 made me think of it.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever you can bring that up.
Bring up what?
The Jeannie Pirro thing. And before you do that, I want to see if there's anybody that's online besides Jeff. If you could do that for us, thank you. Yeah, he's still there. Hang in there, Jeff. We'll be with you in. This is going on.
You want that other thing?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, the audio is what you want.
Yeah, this one right here.
Whenever you're ready to
There.
play it.
Go for it.
It makes no sense. You're not getting it straight. It's time to stop waiting for someone to give you the answer as to what is right and what is wrong. It's time to make up your own mind. You're simply going to have to rely on yourself. Exhibit 1. You cannot open your business if you own a gym. In fact, you risk arrest and loss of your license no matter how hard you try to comply with the rules, how hard you clean the facility, how much distance you put between gym members. But no stress. If you want a mass protest, have at it. Governor Phil Murphy exempted political protests from pandemic restrictions and joined thousands to protest. Go for it, guys. It's your time. But don't you dare go to work. Make sense to you? Just today, Attila's gym owners made up their own minds as to what was right and used force to open up their gym that had been barricaded by the state. The consequences of their actions are yet to be seen. Exhibit 2. You cannot go to church, synagogue, or mosque in numbers of more than 50. But multiply that number or bring 499 of your friends and all 500 of you hit a movie theater down the street, or hell, all of you show up at a casino, hang out, play blackjack, hit the roulette wheel, throw some craps. So says the United States Supreme Court. Yep, there's a cap on the number of people who can attend religious services at 50, but not for pro-profit companies like casinos and theaters that can have 500. And you can thank Justice John Roberts for joining the left yet again, and praise President Trump's appointee, Neil Gorsuch, for the dissent that reads, quote, "There is no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's palace over Calvary Chapel." Makes sense to you? Exhibit 3. You cannot protect federal courthouses in this country because if you do, you're a violent occupying force who brings terror on peaceful protesters, the ones who are actually bombing, burning, and destroying those courthouses. If you protect these halls of justice, you are nothing more than the enemy bringing fear to city streets. So says Oregon's Governor Kate Brown and Portland's Mayor Ted Wheeler. Forget that the leftists have injured over 240 Department of Homeland Security officers and intentionally blinded 3 over more than 60 days of violent upheaval. Forget that that 40 U.S.C. Section 1315 requires the Department of Homeland Security to protect federal property. Forget that neighbors are frightened, petrified, and haven't slept in more than 60 days. Make sense to you? Exhibit 4. You cannot use hydroxychloroquine as a possible therapeutic for use in the early stages of the coronavirus because it can kill you. It's now actually against the law in one state to use it off-label. The drug that has been used for 60 years is now demonized, marginalized, and in some states banned for use as a treatment because President Donald Trump dared to mention it. In spite of the fact that scores of frontline doctors and health, it makes no sense. You're not getting it straight. It's time to stop waiting for someone to give you the answer as to what is right and what is wrong. It makes
here.
Oh.
Thank you.
Give BJ his voice back.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Quite welcome.
We really do have the opportunity to take this back. It is not bad enough yet, but man is a creature of habit, and we're allowing the enemy to get momentum. We have to stop that. And there are places, spots, small spots, that this is happening, but it needs to happen more often. When Geoff comes on the next hour, we're going to talk about what he did, which is very important for us to do. Now, I mentioned that silent in the face of evil is evil itself. For you Christians out there, if you profess with the loudest voice and clearest exposition every portion of the truth of God, except precisely that little point which the world and the devil are at the moment attacking, you're not professing Christ, folks. However boldly you're professing Christ. Where the battle rages, there the loyalty of the soldier is proved. And to be steady on the battlefields besides, in other words, elsewhere, is mere flight and disgrace if you flinch at that point. I hope that burns in some of your hearts. We're trying to motivate you to do. It's not easy, but it's going to be a lot easier than that game that's coming to your own home. Maybe it's already there, that you're fighting now. Your child comes home and they've just had their session with a drag queen and decided what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. And you didn't do anything. You didn't educate yourself. You didn't watch what your child was being taught. You trusted the government. Like the trust you're giving to the government now with the masks. And information that they conflict with themselves. Yet, you're basing the entire future of this nation on that particular aspect. And you've entrusted your children to government-run agencies that teach your children that life has no meaning. They teach evolution as fact. As fact. And they can't prove that. Yet, there it is. Life has no meaning. You're primordial sludge. You're just an accident, a cosmic accident. Man, not God, is the measure of all things, right? They teach them that too. Once we get rid of God, then it's got to be man that takes over, right? The state is your daddy. Oh man, are they ever doing that? They've got your kids in school for 12 years. What do you think is going to happen to them? Send them to Rome? Get them back Romans. And multiculturalism and diversity. Oh my goodness. Look, I know what I'm talking about. I attended school board meetings for 10 years. And I saw what was happening. I saw what was happening to my own children, and I still denied it. I didn't have sense enough. I didn't have the wisdom to run with my children in hand instead of putting them in. It's God is so good. Look what he's doing to the school systems now. Look what he's doing to them. He's negating them. He's helping you out. But I can't homeschool. How much, can't afford to, how much would you pay in 12 years to get your child back? A child that respects you, that respects your moral values? How much would you pay for that? What sacrifices would you make? How many houses would you clean? How many cars would you wash to get those children back? And God is bringing us to our knees in terms of finances. That's going to happen. We're going to have to depend on each other. One of the things I've been in the righteous business. Got bit by the righteous bug about 33 years ago. And I discovered 5 things in that time period. And it took a lot of trials and a lot of errors to get to where I am right now. And I don't know where I should be. I mean, I'm sure this is not where this all ends in terms of what I have right now. But here are the 5 things. And we have a way out of what's happening here. First of all, you're going to have to get into the game. You're going to have to get into the game. Even if we get Donald Trump elected. If we do with him what we've done already, and what we did with George Bush, and all the other conservative presidents, and that's sit back and watch them work while we're having our favorite adult beverage and putting on more weight. It's just not working. And God is telling us that it's not working. He's showing us through pain that it's not working. And it is up to us, those that know, or those that should know. And I have no doubt that you're going to be on the playing field sooner rather than later. And you do well to get your team together before then, before the hometown officials come in and start officiating. 5 traits, 5 attributes, 5 things that I've seen missing in the loyal opposition. Number 1 is planning. We don't plan. We plan to react. Yeah. We're good at that. We're good at that. We plan to react, but we don't proactively plan. That's what we need to do. I was talking to you about an example that we had talked about in a discussion where somebody disagreed with what the point that I brought up. It was a proactive point. A proactive point. We don't plan. And boy, here's where we really, really show our stripes. We're not united. Even if we could plan, we don't know how to work together. And by united, Christians spiritually, we're not united. Again, think about the denominations. By the way, it's a denominator. It's a divider. God is bringing that around, folks. And He's going to bring your planning around. Trust me. How about commitment? Oh, there's a lot of people that are interested. And I've never run, in my 33 years, I have never run into so many experts in the business. I mean, on everything. Specialists on everything. We can prepare. We can have all the guns that we can possibly acquire, and all the foodstuffs, and isolate ourselves. But if you're in a battle, what's the first thing you want to do to the enemy? You want to isolate them, don't you? We're self-isolating.
Cut off communication.
Committed. If you're committed, then you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Numbers. We don't have the numbers. The numbers that will actually show up at game time. Oh, we got a lot of talkers. There's a lot of dogs barking in that parade. But we don't have enough doers. People that are committed to show up. I spent probably a half a day or a day, maybe even 2 days of this week, on with public servants and on with people who I'm trying to get them to motivate public servants. But sometime, and Jeff's going to be a good example of that, you go out there alone on your own. That's dangerous, folks. That is dangerous, and people can take advantage of you. We need the numbers. And finally, what I mentioned before, humility. We are not humble. I'm not perfect. I'm partially in these things that I'm talking about, to more or less, or a bit larger or bigger degree. But it's still the issues that I have seen. And what I see happening in America today, I see God checking off, okay, planning, all right, well, I'm going to do this. This will help that. And unity in spirit, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. As you get down on that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're at self-actualization in America right now. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Self-actualization. But we really need to get down to the foundation. And that is, what am I going to eat today? It's going to rain. Do I have a roof over my head? That changes the entire game, folks. And you get more committed, and you do better planning, and you're definitely more united, and you're definitely committed to living. And the numbers will increase exponentially. I don't want to see this happen. And that is why I'm in the game. Mine is about prevention. We believe we can do it. We believe that the problems we have today is because the family's broken. I'm sorry. We know the problems we have today is because the family is broken. If you don't fix the family, nothing else is really going to matter. You can't build a church on a faulty foundation, or a business, or an educational system.
15 seconds.
Hey, when we come back, we're going to have Jeff as our guest today from Fallon, Nevada. Geoff Knell. And I can't wait to talk to him. I'm really excited about what he's done and what he's doing. And I've got some advice for you too, Geoff. Yeah. Always willing to help out. B.J. Edwards along Mr. Anderson, last call, second hour, coming up.
Keeping you informed. This is Last Call with B.J. Edwards.
And we are back. And I'm going to introduce Geoff here shortly. Geoff had an opportunity to act recently in Nevada. And with the help of mass resistance, he was able to accomplish something that a lot of folks haven't been able to do. And that's chalk up a victory for the good guys. In these troubling times, one man standing up to government, to the evil one, and I want to get with Geoff. Are you with us?
Well, you got to unmute him.
Do it. How do I? Okay.
Oh shoot! Well, that's bad timing for that to pop up.
Up right up the top. No, right.
No, if I that
No,
would
no.
close everything.
Here, I think you can go right up here.
No, that'll close the
This?
whole.
There's an X over here.
Okay.
Well, shoot.
I think you clicked. Well,
Okay.
no, we're.
There I got him.
Okay, he's
There
the
he
top
is.
one.
There he is. Okay, and he's not muted.
Well, what's the X there for?
I don't know. Just says he's there. Geoff, can you hear us okay? Geoff, can you hear us? Mute's off. And that would be...
Check the plug.
Muted there, yeah. Hey, Geoff, are you trying to speak, brother? I don't see his... There you are. There. Hang on, Geoff. We're having trouble getting you.
There. Oh, there.
Yeah, I'm not getting him, though. It's not picking up.
He did a second ago.
Yeah.
The case might be getting in the way of the plug.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. Don't know.
I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I did hear him previously. This is not good. This is not good radio. There you go. There we go. Hey, Geoff, can you hear us?
He left.
Ah. Just when we got him fixed. I think what I'm going to do here is this. Stop that. Ah. Shoot. I had Jeff's number around here somewhere. We will try that. Folks, I appreciate your patience with us.
Are we logged off of here?
Yes.
Because I thought
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how to get back on there.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. Your call cannot be completed as...
So he might have called back in. Well, this is good times.
We love this town.
It's a good place.
We love it here.
There's like a peace of mind. That's funny.
It's nice.
It just feels safe and
From last call.
Hey.
I don't know why we're having problems, but we're having problems. But we got you. We got you.
It's because of the technician.
Yeah. Get this big build up and then boom, I'll lose you. Anyway, Geoff is from Fallon, Nevada. And Geoff, I want you to get into your story, but this has to do with the drag queens And library hours have been just prolific throughout the United States, and a lot of folks have been able to stop this madness that's going on. But Jeff, first of all, when did you find out about the issue in your particular city, or the issue itself? What happened?
Well, after I became the chairman for the state of Nevada for mass resistance, I've studied it and found out it was happening down there in Clark County and Las Vegas and Henderson. And then later on that year, with connections with other mass resistance in Texas and different parts of the state, I went and looked online and found through the word that they're having one at the Sparks, Nevada Library in the month of July of last year. And knowing that what the progression of the LGBTQ agenda on the queer side and the influence of the political movement, I proceeded to get an understanding, because the drag queen story hour that happened in Sparks is right at our front door. It's an infiltration. And the way the world is going, the mindset of the people in the state of Nevada, they're being deceived. And so I needed to get an effort, and through the power of God, and use a biblical approach to get the word out and get an understanding to stop.
Jeff,
I talked to a lot of people in the past.
When you've heard about this in another city, but I mean, come on, it's not going to happen in your city. You've got a good city. You shouldn't worry about this, right? So why didn't you just let it be? Because it wasn't going to happen anyway, right?
Well, when you do the research and you find out more information on how destructive the lifestyle is, and even though my children are grown, and I think about our future, and I think about people who are falling for this lie, and it has to stop. It has to stop. So what motivated me is the dangers, and the gospel is not being preached.
You saw the storm clouds. You saw what was likely going to happen, and you didn't sit. You saw and didn't sit, and you went out and you did. Now, Jess, you didn't do this on your own. Alone. How did you hook up with Mass Resistance? And they are a great organization, by the way. How did you hook up with them, and how did they help you?
Well, being a street preacher and stuff this way is you're pretty much alone, except you're not alone through Jesus Christ. It came to a point I needed knowledge and information on how to defeat the process. You know, if you go like Dearborn, Michigan, you go to Florida, there's certain segments of Islam. I don't have an Islam problem here. I have is the LGBTQ influence is so great in my county. So I learned about them through videos and stuff this way, and I actually called up the director, Arthur Shaper, and he hooked me up because my spirit was telling me I need to start something here in the state of Nevada, because we're right next to California, and they're lost. And so the strength get the knowledge, because you got to have the knowledge to create the wisdom to able to bring the light into the darkness. You know, what verse that really sticks out for me is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11. It says, "Do not partake in the unfruitful works of darkness, but reprove them." If you look at the synonyms of it, it's expose the darkness, and to bring light into the conversation, into the corruption. Because in my county itself, the political environment of the communistic ideology is to bring homosexuality, depravity, and promiscuity in to make it look like it's natural and healthy. So that gave it the drive for me, because but also in my heart, it's heavy. It's heavy. And people need to hear the truth of the death, burial, and resurrection, and the truth of this particular all this, including the LGBTQ, And this part is it's a destructive pattern.
This is B.J. Edwards. We're on the phone with Geoff Knell from Nevada, and we're talking about Drag Queen Story Hour. And for those folks that don't really know that much about it, this is an event for children. They put on in public libraries around the country. It's heavily promoted by the LGBTQ movement. Their stated purpose is to give children unabashedly queer role models. They target young children and homosexual transgender propaganda, drag queens, homosexual men who dress up as garish impersonators of women are terribly dysfunctional people on several levels. What we're trying to teach our children, what we're exposing them to, are abnormalities. And the worse they are, the worse that imprint is on that child's mind. And Geoff is one of those that had the courage to stand up to this. Go ahead, Geoff. I just wanted to let folks know about that.
Well, let's get to the meat of the matter here.
Thank you.
Let's find out what Drag Queen Hour really is. It's a sexual perversion of men who are recruited, young men are recruited into sexual lust and perversions. Now, what I found out through Mass Resistance is a great team in different parts of the state is the Drag Queen Story Hour is started out of San Francisco, California. And it's by design by a political movement, believe it or not. It's not a pride or anything. It is a political movement to infiltrate and recruit children to change their mindset to accept their sexual connotations and to believe something that they're not. And so this Drag Queen Story Hour goes around and recruits drag queens, and they think they're doing a wonderful thing, but in reality, they don't look at themselves. So they progress out and they go into influence and use the political system of inclusiveness, the Constitution, and use the government, like through the judicial system. But in this case, they go through the library system with support of the library associations, the teachers' unions, all they infiltrate. Now, the Human Rights Campaign, which is a false title, they call it Human Rights, trying to classify it. So this is just a sliver of the political agenda and so forth to infiltrate and to change people's minds. You ever heard of a book called After the Ball? How they changed people's perspectives in the 90s.
Turning Point.
Right in there is an actual description of a plan.
Yes, yeah.
A novel, a plan to how to manipulate, and that's what they're following through.
Keep in mind, folks, that we have our government-run schools. This is just one aspect, but our government-run schools teach moral relativity, and what these folks are doing are taking advantage of that, and they are really, really exposing children to some pretty odd, nasty, unhealthy behaviors that you as a taxpayer are paying for. And then we go, well, gosh, I don't know what's happening in America. I don't understand it. You understand it. You're just not looking at it fairly. And if it wasn't for folks like Geoff and others like him, wow, I don't know where we'd be. I mean, I have all the respect in the world that Geoff stood up, and he didn't care whether he had to do it alone or not. He did get advice, and he got good advice, and was very helpful to him. But sometimes you got to show up. You just got to show up, and you'll find the help there. Amen, Geoff?
Yes. What I guess the question is, what can we do to motivate people to step out in faith and speak the truth, get an explanation? This is with information and to rebuke and to help to inform and able to take action on it. You see, with mass resistance, we found out through Texas and different parts of the states, we're finding drag queens are on the sexual offender list. They are felons and pedophiles actually participating in. We're finding that the political environment of the people who are on the library staff and board of trustees that manage the public libraries are so indoctrinated that they go with the flow and they don't do any background checks effectively enough. So So Mass Resistance has stood up and actually did research and found out and notified them, and so they actually cancel it and actually modify the rules. They do a better background check. But it only happens. But that's the problem is it only happens in that particular area, in that county. It doesn't. The word doesn't get out so much to get an understanding. Say, hey, you need to vet these individuals. You go on the social network and we find out they're in maybe graphic here, sadomasochist. They're actually doing XXX acts on video. And they have these actual people who go and speak with these children who actually do sexual acts on videos. And you want your children to be so lightly enticed so they become what they become, sexual deviants, sexual perverts, because that's all they think about.
Drag queens did not get there. The drag queens did not get the position they're in, Jeff, by making good decisions. Okay, you mentioned the records that they're likely going to have. They're not there because they've got there by making good decisions. That's just a culmination of a lot of bad decisions, and here's where they are now. And it is going to get worse because the next thing they're going to do is hopefully be having in their minds sex with these children that they're preparing for their future sexual future, the drag queen's future. Not the children. The children won't have any future if the drag queens have their way and the people that promote them. You need to understand that. We got to take a quick break, Jeff. It's B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. Your last call. And Jeff, I'm going to try to key us up on
Last Call with B.J. Edwards. Real talk about real life.
Hang in there. You might hear some.
Hello.
Yeah, hang in there,
Enter
Jeff.
your 6-digit conference code.
You want to bring in that?
Yeah, in case somebody wants to talk to Jeff. I just hit the wrong number. Of course I did. It's on the air. It's live. Come on. We'll try that.
Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are the host, invalid host code.
That's what I thought.
The conference has not started. If you are the host, please enter your 4-digit host code to open the conference.
I may have to try that all over
host
again.
Code.
Daggone it. Jeff, we just have a lot of fun here. That's all I can say. Hang in there with us.
Say, the devil doesn't want the truth to be heard.
Yeah.
See, you see, it's the algorithms and the computer system.
Could be.
Hello. Please enter your 6-digit conference code. Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. We will now connect you to your call.
There we go. We're back in
business. You are the first attendee in this conference.
If you want to call in and talk
the host has joined the conference.
If you want to call in and talk to Jeff from Nevada, 302-202-1110, 302-202-1110.
Right there at the bottom of
and
the
then
screen.
And then 745-353 would be your access. 745-353. Speaking with Geoff Knell, who's been very patient with us, and Jeff, I appreciate that. So at this point, I want to kind of speed up. You saw the need. You acted on that. What did that action look like, Jeff? Did you have to do public speaking? Did you get a hold of folks on the phone? Did you email them? All above? Who did you go to, and why did you go to those people? Did we lose him?
I don't know what you did.
Oh, I think I lost him. This is crazy. It shouldn't have done that.
You're trying to get too fancy.
Yeah. What did I do with his number?
Oh, and I'm on mute, so you can't hear me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, me?
Yeah.
Talk among ourselves here, folks. And let's see, the call-in number is at the bottom of the screen. I don't know what we're connected to now. That's now disconnected.
Hello? Hey, Jeff, sorry about that. It's not merging it.
And it keeps blocking me out.
Yeah, there you go. We're good. We're just having fun here. So I think what I'd ask you is that I want to get into what you did physically And did you go to, who did you go to? Did you have to do public speaking? What kind of research did you have to do prior to that? Did you make phone calls? Did you try to get any folks in the area to help you out? Just a general picture of what it was you were doing, Geoff.
Let me give a quick history. When I was in college in 2002, I was in the lab and checking emails out, and I got this article about same-sex marriage being promoted by the legislation in California, and then I saw this comment, and I got this information, a link to a congressional record, Appendix A34. It's a current communist goal spoken by A.S. Hurlong, Jr., a Florida representative, about the communist goals and what his constituents. And in there, we got the steps there. If you want to look it up, you can use the search engine, and it kind of woke me up and find out how Satan's influence to change our culture into what we are today. And so that was a part of a beginning to go forth to find and do research and to find ways how to defeat the tactics of the devil. Because if you don't have it, how to learn and have the information to do it, how are you going to speak truth and express with meaning with the Word of God? So with that, I progressed on. I learned to street preach, and through perseverance, trials and tribulations, persevere. It gave me the strength and tenacity to go forth and speak forth truth and to rebuke the devilish plans to change our culture for the worst. And so with that, I learned from your radio show, and I learned from David Arthur. I learned from Coach Dave Live. I learned from Mass Resistance. I got the information and watched the approach and learned tactics and how what did, and also what Jesus did when he spoke and used his way of we spoke with authority. And so with all that combined together, and with tests and trials, it found a perfective way to be humble and then to be bold and to speak the truth. Now, what I ended up doing is what I learned from y'all is when you go to the government, which has a vast influence over our children. Like you spoken earlier, that children go to a school and they have them for 6 to 8 hours and sometimes 10 hours, depending on the extracurricular activities that they're involved in. So I decided let's just say my spirit said it's time to face the enemy. But to get to the point of not going so much in the Direct Green Story Hour is to find out who the people are. Because the Bible says in John 7, verse 24, it says, "Do not judge by appearance, but judge righteous judgment." And the Bible talks about the oracles of God is the fruit of the Spirit. When the people speak, they defile themselves. So the Bible also says you have the fruit of the Spirit. You know what their fruit is. If they speak of evil, their heart is evil. And if they speak of righteousness, their heart is good. So with that biblical instruction, you'll be able to evaluate, first of all, what people are. And what is the worldview, what is the religious view, and so forth, and what they believe. And notice what their influence, the influence of Satan has affected their hearts. Because the man has free will. I can confirm that with John 3:17. God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but through him all might be saved. See,
Jeff,
this is on the word might.
Jeff, you're street preaching. Get me to what you did, brother. I appreciate your heart, but I need to get you down to the facts. How did that manifest itself at the? Where did you go to? Where did you go? Was the city council?
Okay, all right. I looked up the Nevada State laws, statutes. I looked up open meeting laws. What I did was figure out the laws that may affect on the task at hand. Now, it's a Drag Queen Story Hour. I found out the commissioners, they put people into the library trustee board, and it says to be competent. But it doesn't get really specific on how they put people in. Are they going to be honest and truthful, or are they going to like their political affiliation to find who they are? And I found out that these board members, a lot of them are far left communistic ideologists, and they fall for the inclusiveness, and they will allow it to happen. I went there, and actually, what I did, I ended up talking to people individually, the library staff, trustees, commissioners. I found out what their heart is first, and follow one direction, and found out atheism, Satanist, actual Satanist on the library board, political influence, and in the board itself, I found out they all believe in Jesus Christ, but they're afraid to take on the challenge. And I found out one of them, my commissioner, who actually doesn't want to fight it. No, I didn't send you the video of my actual confrontation I had with him, which I should have. Get an understanding is the boldness. You knew where their heart is, so you know where they stand. You can have a way of speaking with humbleness, with love, and to be more direct, but straight to the point. Do you care about children? But this is what I said. I got advice from Coach Dave. It says, make it personal. And I said this, the LGBTQ, how would you feel if it would be your son or daughter or your grandchildren and so forth? And I was to get to the point, to get to wake up. But also I came to them individually, and I was able to ask them, and they say to me, Jeff, I'm a conservative as it is, one of them says, and no way I'll let it happen. And the other one says, Jeff, they're not going to listen to you. Oh, okay, he said. And the third one is definitely, I'm okay with it. And they have to be my District 3 commissioner, whom he represents. Find out he doesn't even want to talk to me. You heard what I said? And he says, I don't battle the LGBTQ. And I told him he's a coward. And he used tactics of Solinsky's rules for radicals to turn the conversation around. But I was able to use James 1:19, quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. And so all this combination, I was able to get in the point behind the back door and get them to stop the Drag Queen Story Hour.
Jeff, what you did, let me tell you what I'm hearing is, number one, you found out where they're coming from. You identified your enemy or the audience. Okay, the audience, some of the audience is here, some of the audience is here. Because if you're going to address this group, you're going to need to know who's against you, why they're against you, who might be for you, and why they're before you. So you identified all of them. Then you found out whether they were committed or not in your questions, which is terrific. That is terrific. You find out who's committed and who isn't committed, because you can find out who's going to be your strongest adversary and who's going to be your strongest supporter. And then you isolated them, which is beautiful. You got each one individually. See, when they're in a group environment, that group environment can intimidate the individuals like yourself. So you did a lot of homework up front that maybe you didn't even realize that you did, but you had this set up. You were putting the foundations down, maybe not realizing it, but you did a great job of doing that just by doing the preliminary conversations with those people, and you knew what you were walking into, right?
And somewhere around the way, it was I'd never done it before. So as I progressed on learning the Word of God and youth background, here's the important part too. When I found them out individually, but also when I preached and I said things like the statement I said and other things, I challenged them. But the staff around the staff that support the commissioners and the city council and the school board, they say, you're right. I've actually had family members who work for the commissioners, and they actually said to me, and my wife came to me because she works on it, and says, the guy with the cross hat, he makes a great, excellent point, and I support him. But the thing is, I work for them. I can lose my job if I speak out, but I do vote, and so forth. So I talked to the actual staff, and I actually talked to people in the audience, very few that they are. I find out where the heart is.
Wow.
and you get a positive response too, you know.
Jeff, you have no idea what you're doing. You really, I mean, and I don't mean you don't know what you're doing, but I don't think you have any idea what you are naturally doing in terms of getting something done. I mean, you were doing your research and not even realizing it. This is just incredible, Jeff. I know. You're doing a lot of this spirit guided, but it shows you what you can do when you listen to the Spirit. I'm chuckling because you don't recognize what you've done and how incredibly complete it was. I mean, and Jeff, you're spilling your Christianity on people. You need to be careful of that. You know what I mean? You don't want to get your Christianity on anybody, right?
Oh, that is a sign of weakness. Jesus went, like in John chapter 8, he spoke them, called them children of the devil, and your father is the father of lies. No, that's intimidating. But he spoke with authority. That's what I'm doing. I'm speaking with authority and backing up, and don't let whoever you're speaking with twist the words. Now, I'm going to send you a video and actually an encounter. But the thing is, I learned from Bill Wolcott up there in Canada. He's being persecuted because
we've had him on our show
at LGBTQ. But anyway, he said this point: Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. When you learn that tactics and how people are affected and people what they follow. So this is meat for you here. Is a dialect, and in my conversation with my representative, I will show you videos. You can watch it later on. He used to change the subject. He wants me to keep on the LGBTQ when I'm talking about the library board trustees. So he tried to trick me up. So with the knowledge of how the devil's tactics are, I was able to refute him and keep him on subject.
Okay, so how did we get to victory here, Jeff? You've done all your research. What's the final act here? When did this all start bearing fruit?
Well, from his persistence. See, Jesus says, "Occupy till I come."
You're preaching again.
Take a look at the very broad statement. Well, what does he mean by occupant? We can go to Matthew 28. It says, "Be disciple all nations." How do you disciple all nations? Is you get the gospel out. You give the truth of the devil tactics, get a red pill sort of explanation on how the world it is. Like Matthew 24 talks about lawlessness shall abound. Reflect on that. Bring up people's hearts will wax cold because they're turning their back against God. Luke 21 verse 36. Watch, therefore. Key word, watch, therefore. And explain to people through the Holy Spirit. They get them through understanding. Because I tell you, you will not find immediate results. But I tell you through time, people come to me later on. I heard you. I saw you on the news. I read your article. This and that and this and that. And they come to a certain point in reality. See, people are awakening. The end result is to keep communicating the Word of God. Get out of the Jonah's belly and get out and tell people to come to repentance. And explain it in such a way of when you watch, therefore, you understand the birth pains, and people get an understanding.
Jeff, what did this
contemplate on it?
Was this a city council you were approaching? Who was the body that you were approaching?
Well, it was the city council.
Was it city council?
Yeah. I talked with them. I preached and talked about Drag Queen Story Hour, and apparently, what happened was when I got in the Nevada Appeal article in there, it hit the political roundtable, and it got them really, really, really scared.
So you got public exposure of what you were doing. It is city council. City council then did what? What did they do with regards to the drag queen? Did they say, okay, we heard you and we'll take it into consideration? Did they pass a law? Did they make some kind of a statement that indicated they would not have a drag queen hour? And if so, when and where? The details of that, Jeff, is what I'm looking for. The end result.
Well, in the official capacity, there's the open meeting law says you have a public comment before and afterwards, and you can come on the agenda items. You see, but the Satan has infiltrated it. Our state of Nevada actually might have copied California's open meeting laws. See, they can't think for themselves. So officially, they can hear the words, but later I have conversations, but they don't come to me, I come to them. They don't want to come to you. What had happened was, my heart spoke and said, talk to the mayor. Okay? Talk to the mayor of the city of Fallon. And he gave me his card, and believe it or not, when I had the conversation with him, people didn't want me to talk to him. He said, don't talk to him. He's nuts. He's crazy. He's a lunatic. He preaches the word of God, and he talks about sin. He talks about hell. It's basically what the mayor told me. And so I was able to talk with him, and then he brought up, said, Jeff, you need to change your tact. I'm like, why? Because you're going to... they're not going to come here. They're not any inkling to come here, but you're going to let them come here because you're throwing the idea out there. I said, no, I'm not. I'm trying to prevent it.
He was telling you, Jeff, that he was afraid you were going to speak this into existence. So again, right. I want to get to the bottom line. We've only got a few minutes left, Jeff. You went to city council. You were concerned about Drag Queen Story Hour with the children. Have you sealed this up where this is not coming to Fallon? And how did you do that?
Ask that question again.
You went to city council because you were concerned that Drag Queen Story Hour is going to end up in your libraries. That's not going to happen now, as I understand it. And why is that not going to happen now? As a result of your actions, what did city council do?
See, the city council is part of the commissioners, city council, school board, and library staff, and a library board. When you combine all the direction of it and having the information out there, the action brought fear among the politicians.
What happened because of the fear? What did they do?
Well, it got where a commissioner... a commissioner has to sit with the library board every time they have a meeting. And so one of the commissioners asked the library director about Drag Queen Story Hour, will you let it happen? And the response was, absolutely not. See, I went to the library director. I spoken with the library board member, and word communicated to a certain extent that they will not be able to win. They will not be able to win. And people being weak-minded, they don't want to take on that challenge, in my opinion. So...
Yeah, I have a quote here. Library board meeting, one of the county commissioners directly asked the county library director, a big liberal. By the way, this happened because of what you did. This question was brought around because of what you did. Would you allow a Drag Queen Story Hour here at Churchill County Libraries, what you're talking about? The library director answered, absolutely not. So you basically put the pressure on all of them and kept coming after them, and they're coming after our sons and daughters. So as a result of what you did, you had the library, the city council, the whole town thinking progressively against the drag queen. So when the future pops up, this is already there. This is an action that's already been taken. They've already made a commitment, which they're going to have to eat crow, in other words, to change that. And this is all a result of what Jeff did. And obviously Jeff's got the Spirit of the Lord in him. You can't hold that back, and I love it. But in terms of when we like to see, Jeff, we like to see, as humans, results of our actions. I did this, so I want to see that happen. Most cases, you don't see that. Jeff, in your case, you did see that. And you're still there. And that's going to be a negative for somebody that's going to do the drag queen. Now, they're going to try to come in. They're going to try to come in. But you've set a precedent, and you have commitments, which are going to favor well with not just you, but other folks that you get together that are going to try collectively to end this madness in your area of the world, which is right next to California, by the way. Jeff, any parting comments that you like? I hate to ask this because I think I know what I'm going to get, but that's okay. I asked anyway. Any parting comments, Jeff? Anything you would recommend to folks out there that are afraid? Maybe they're afraid to share the Word of God. Maybe they're afraid to do the right thing. You've had success, but you don't have success all the time. But
understand. Here's a quick ending here. Is our understanding our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and Bill of Rights, and case law. I was able to go beyond talking to school superintendent. The superintendent, the previous one, retired because I went in there and I told him because of what's going on. It's too much detail. If you get out there and speak truth to every single environment, you can be effective, and you can draw fear into the influence of what's going on in the world today. We can battle it. And what pushed drive me was putting on the full armor of God and to get a true understanding and ability to speak forth and go out and actually try it and experience it. And so when you learn from your mistakes, you just redefine it, refine yourself, and go out and do it again. That's all I could say.
Geoff Knell from Nevada. And Jeff obviously loves God and fears God more than he loves the government and fears the coronavirus or any other situation that the government brings up.
No fear of man.
Yep. Fear of God, serving God, loving God, respecting God. Are you hearing me, Christians? Jeff, I love you. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate your heart. And if I ever need a good street preacher, I got your number. And please send me that video, brother. I appreciate it.
Will do. God bless you.
All right, man. Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
All righty. Thank you. You'll have to disconnect on your end, Jeff. I can't do that because of the way we set this up. Hey. B.J. Edwards along, Mr. Anderson, your last call.
We're here.
Quick break. I think I had a video that I wanted to play before I do this next piece.
You did?
Yeah, if I can find... Is that the screen there? Is that where it's going to be? Or is it going to be here?
Okay, what video are you looking for?
I don't see any videos. I don't see any choices. You need to go over here, I think.
I need to get rid of this window here.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
This is, got that one. I think it was one with the white. I think that one's the one I want. Let's go ahead and hit that.
We played this one already.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Then go up to the next one. One thing that Jeff...
How to be woke?
Yes. One thing that Jeff brought out is he is full of the Spirit. But I'll be honest with you, America's at least a quart low when it comes to that. We need to stop fearing COVID and the government and start fearing God. And I want to talk about an article after our clip, penned by Karen Catalan of the Western Journal. And also note that after listening to John McCarthy's recent sermon, I couldn't help but wonder, where is all this ecclesiastical fuss been for the past 2 decades? And I got to play a clip from our favorite. What's this guy's name?
Are you a white person who wants a lot of credit for helping to create racial equality while you do nothing to help create racial equality If so, that means you want to be a woke white person. So listen up, because I'm going to give you your PhD in wokeology.
Wokeology.
As a woke white person, your mission is to attack as many other white people for being racist online as you possibly can. But don't worry, them actually being racist isn't a prerequisite for you attacking them for being racist. Everyone knows that racism is hate, but as a woke white person, you know that the best way to heal the world from hate is to hate the people that are spreading the hate. Let's take a look at your woke white person black belt skills in action. Tomorrow we should cancel the term white belt. Let's say you encounter another white person saying something as racially hateful as, "I love black people." Now at first glance, that could seem supportive to the black community, but as a wokeologist, you know that people never say what they mean. They mean what you think they mean. You can accurately determine what they meant by leaping to incredibly large assumptions that come from your mind, not theirs. Then you can inform them what they meant by what they said. In this case, it could be, "You just think the black community is so weak that they need your love." And now we've just exposed their white fragility. Then probably ignore the fact that you're acting from the presupposition that the black community is so weak that they need you to protect them. Next, call on the hyenas to come attack your prey in the comments section. And finally, be sure to take a screenshot of their post. That way, after they delete it from being emotionally abused by you, you can repost it to make sure they keep getting what you think they deserve. And so their thought that you don't like will continue to live on. You get the sensation that you've helped because of the highly emotionally charged feeling that developed inside of you while you weren't helping. This helps make your efforts all about you, not about racially oppressed people. Because it's your job to find racism in what white people are doing and saying online, whether it's there or not, here's some woke principles that'll help you find racism in anything. Assume that all white people that aren't you are racist. Take what they say out of context. For example, if they said, "I didn't enjoy watching that game," you could say, "That's because a lot of the players are black." Accuse them of racism for what they're not saying. For example, if they post a picture of their dinner, accuse them of racism because there's no black people in their food. Accuse them of being a racist. And if they deny it, inform them that denying being a racist is the first thing a racist person would do. If you see someone actively supporting racial equality, let them know that they're only doing it as a virtue signal, and therefore they're bolstering their image at the expense of black people. And just know your virtue signaling of pointing out their virtue signaling is completely different from what they're doing. Occasionally, you might run into actual racism in your feed. But probably not, because scumbags usually aren't that honest. But even if you do run into it, you won't know what to do with it, because all you've got is weaponized anger, criticism, and hate. Compassion, connection, and education aren't concepts bleached into your DNA. Now, let me help you understand the dynamics of how you as a woke white person are making a real difference in racial equality. When you put all your time and energy into finding faults with other white people and attacking them,
or other Christians,
it means you're not putting your time and energy into helping and supporting racially oppressed people. Does that make sense, how you're not helping the people that you think you are? And it's great because you know that instead of putting your energy into being for something, it's way more constructive to put your energy into being against something. But that doesn't matter because you get woke warrior social justice points for criticizing and hopefully even canceling other white people. But you don't get nearly as many points for helping the racially oppressed because people don't notice you doing it. A general rule of thumb is, if it doesn't give you a dopamine hit from social media acknowledgement, it doesn't help create change with racial equality. Congratulations! You now have your doctorate in wokeology. Being the woke white person that you are, thank you for crusading with your sword of hate to help heal the world of hate. You're doing God's work. What's up, you beautiful...
I love how he does that without a mask. I just love that. Where's the church, folks? Seriously, where is the church? And I spent over a decade trying to get the pastors to speak relevant sermons. stood out in front of them, was taken to court. I was committed, and the pastors weren't. The church leaders weren't. Now, a lot of that may have to do with the lack of family support for the church. And those two are definitely tied in together. But the pastors do have responsibilities. The church leaders do have responsibilities, if that is the position that they choose to take. If you're going to lead, then daggone it, lead. I was talking about an article written by Karen Catalan. America's faith needs to stop fearing COVID and government and start fearing God. It's one of those well-dubbed moments, folks. She quickly notes that the fear quotient of most people these days is off the scale since March of this year, when we entered the twilight zone of the coronavirus. And the parallel BLM anti-police movement, pro-communist movement, with its shooting, looting, burning of cities by anarchists, who, to their credit, do appear to be immune from the fear of the coronavirus. In their efforts to dismantle the country, they've been taught to hate and choosing to place our liberty in tyranny. Would that the church fear God more than the virus, as does the BLM. They don't fear the virus. Then there are the leftist politicians who, Karen notes, have continued to say the strictest edicts for law-abiding citizens and people of faith. For example, as we noted last week in California, it's now forbidden to sing or chant in church. Now, would they be more welcome if instead, in these church meetings, they were to chant hatred and death to America, or let's go close down a local business? As a supposed body of Christ, and this disturbing number is the church continues to knuckle under to the growing discriminatory edicts against them. One might ask what they are truly afraid of, because what people fear is often more telling about their core beliefs than what they profess. Who does Geoff fear? Karen then asks, is it government retaliation for daring to sing and chant in church? Is that what they fear? Are they afraid of being blamed if one of their congregants gets sick? It could be that they're afraid of death itself. Professing Christians say they believe in everlasting life. Observant Jews also believe in the hereafter. They say God is in control and that we should put our faith in him. So why do so many people seem more afraid of COVID, the government, than God? This is especially in the face of a virus that is non-lethal to more than 99.8% of the population. We still have masses of people who are deathly afraid of it. I can go on here, but what I don't understand is why the church and its congregants just don't get it. 20 years ago, Mr. Anderson and I stood in front of a megachurch here in Ohio, begging the church to engage the culture they live in, and their pastor to speak to relevant sermons on the flock. Instead, what did they do? That's right, they took us, fellow Christians, to court. You're in church. You go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
After they put up that big sign, just ignore them.
Right.
At their parking lot entrance.
If you're in church and you're in a church service, and somebody gets up and asks a question, God, what? Wait, what? That doesn't happen in church. No, it doesn't. Does it?
Should.
But let's say that does happen. And the pastor says, okay, elders, we need to get together here. We need to take this individual to court and kick them out of our church because they're interrupting us. And the rest of you, just ignore him. Just ignore him and listen to me. Listen to us. Because we've done such a fine job for you so far. There's an abortion clinic 1.5 miles from us. Don't go there either. No. Don't go there. Well, I'm not going to tell you not to go there, but I'm not going to tell you to go there. I'm not going to tell you it exists, and I'm not going to tell you what they're doing there. That's not my job. My job is to get you to come up here to personally accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, get drowned, and then after you're done, we'll give you a towel and you can go out into the lobby and get yourself something to eat in our cafeteria, okay? That's what it's all about.
Have a coffee on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. They took us, fellow Christians, to court and secured a restraining order against us. You can come to church, but you got to have a gag on because you can't say anything. They've exchanged the gag, by the way, for a mask, so you don't need to say anything anyway. Now that property, that huge building, all they're using now is a parking lot where we once stood as part of the church.
Are they doing that there? Probably.
Yet, has the church learned its lesson? Has the church in America learned its lesson and the answer? Have we stopped honking our horns in the parking lot and started greeting our fellow parishioners with a handshake or a hug? Have we? With few exceptions, sadly, the answer is no. Now, it really matters not whether the church is instrumental in bringing righteousness, let alone sanity, back into this world. If that's not their job, then forgive my critique. On the other hand, if we are to be salt and light, again like Geoff Knell of the world, then we'd better at least start supporting them as versus criticizing how they do things when we as a body flat out refuse to do anything other than obey government edicts as versus God's commandments. Matt told us last week, if we love God, Santa Claus that we sit on the lap and expect all those goodies from, expect to go to heaven because I said I like you. I said I believe in you. I never showed it. But I said it. And I got baptized. And that's okay. Is it? Why are we experiencing what we're experiencing in the world today? I think Matt's right. We're not loving God.
First commandment.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't love God, how can you love your fellow mankind, which is the second commandment? Is Christianity a court law? I'd say yes. I'd say definitely yes. Dads, you need to get to work. I think prayer is very important. I think it's kind of like the Air Force. But you got to send the ground troops in as well, folks. Air, sea, and land, right? Air, sea, and land. Let's push for the debate. Simone Gold versus Fauci. I would love to see that. And remember, when somebody tells you that you better be wearing a mask, because, hey, it's only a mask. Huh? Wear the shirt. It's only a shirt. Put the sign in your yard. It's only a sign. Right? Be prepared with an answer, folks. Be prepared with an answer. This week, schedule yourself to talk to some of your public servants. Hopefully some of the information, or to the mask Gestapo. Look forward to those conversations. I had lunch with an individual this week, and we talked about the mask and people coming in wearing the mask, and then as soon as they sit down, they take them off. And I told them I was going to go over to Walmart, and they go, "Oh no, you don't wear a mask." I said, "No, I don't." "Oh, I don't know whether you should go over to Walmart or not." So I went over to Walmart. Nobody said anything to me. Nothing. Yeah, I had my little thingy on, but I don't think they even know what that means.
What thingy is that?
This says that wearing a face mask poses a serious health risk to me, and then the other side talks about your First Amendment rights. But as a Christian, go ahead.
Now we need to add the religious reasons.
Yes, absolutely. They're there. That should be primary. That should be primary. And I'm ornery enough that the next time I go in, I'm not going to say health reasons if I'm asked, but it is health reasons. But I'm going to say for Christian First Amendment rights. My Christian First Amendment rights. There you go.
Oh, wind snuck up on me.
Off and running. B.J. Edwards, along Mr. Anderson, has been your last call. Thank you very much for listening in today. And thanks, Jeff, for all that you do. And everybody else, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Biker Bill. Got you in there once.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Last Call with B.J. Edwards.